Hey, I am leaving LA and returning to Hong Kong again for the fourth time. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to be doing a movie review on a film I watched last night, and that movie is I Saw the TV Glow, written and directed by Jane Schoenbrunn. So, uh, Wow, this is the best movie of the year for me so far. I know the year has only been halfway done, but this movie surprised me a lot. I Saw the TV Glow is a new A24 indie film, and it is a film about a couple of teenagers, Owen and Maddie, who bond with each other by watching a TV show called The Pink Opaque. And let me explain that this is a story that's set in the 90s, so it's not like streaming where you go to Netflix and you press a button and there's a TV show. You need to tune in to the TV show every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. and you need to go to your friend's place to watch the TV and actually see it. You can't pause it. You can tape it. So that's what happens in the movie. You know, she tapes it for him, Maddie tapes it for Owen for a little while, but it is a TV where you sit down at a specific time on a specific day in a week and you watch it. They bond with each other over the Pink Opaque, and what's going on with my hair? It's fine, no one cares. They bond with each other through the Pink Opaque, and then they start to realize that the TV show and their own lives are actually kind of similar. And then very psychological things started to happen, and I'm not going to spoil anything forward after this point. Now, this film is very much textbook American teenage hellscape. I feel like every single culture in the world has their own version of teenage hellscape. And I emphasize on the word different because every like for instance me, I grew up in Hong Kong. My version of teenage hellscape, the stress, the loneliness, the anger, the angst, those feelings are different from what an American teenager would feel because culturally and environmentally the whole thing is different. But I still have dabbled into quite a bit of American teenage hellscape, and I have begun to appreciate its aesthetics, especially for films like Mysterious Skin and Detachment, where being a teenager means loneliness, means being not understood. It means being detached from society, being an outcast, being confused and frustrated at yourself and the people around you. That anger and that confusion is captured so well in this film, and it's fantastic. Another amazing comparison, and I credit my friend from Singapore who is a huge cinephile, even huger than me. He compared this film to All About Lily Shoo Shoo. And sure, All About Lily Shoo Shoo is Japanese teenage hellscape, but what's similar between I Saw the TV Glow and All About Lily Shoo Shoo is that one film relies on music as a channel of healing and self-discovery. I Saw the TV Glow uses TV to do that. So in a lot of ways, I Saw the TV Glow is this generation's All About Lily Shoo Shoo. Both films also use a specific medium, and this medium feels almost mysterious, and there's something very nostalgic and dreamy about such medium. So, you know, Lily Shoo Shoo's music might not be the greatest music you'll ever hear in your life, but when you listen to it, there's a certain familiarity. There's a certain warmth to it that makes you understand. Okay, I understand why someone would really love this kind of music and have their entire life changed by this music. Same with the Pink Opaque. It's just like a silly kids show where two girls team up and fight a big evil moon man called Mr. Melancholy. And there's nothing inherently interesting about the show. It's not Breaking Bad or whatever, but there's something so warm and cozy and nostalgic and dreamy about it. There's something so innocent about it that when you see the Pink Opaque, you would understand why this show means so much to our two main characters. It somehow complements their own lives, and maybe it complements your own life as well. Now, what's important about I Saw the TV Glow is that this film is carried by feelings and not by story. A lot of people go into this film thinking that it's going to be a full on A24 psychological horror with a lot of scares. It's not. Don't go into this film thinking it's a horror film, because it's not really a horror film. It's more of just like a psychological drama where two teenagers sort of go through an existential crisis and an identity crisis. So this entire film is carried by feelings, warm feelings, feelings of loneliness, distance, nostalgic feelings. After watching this movie, thinking back on this movie, it feels like a memory. It feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like an actual story with, scene after scene, beat after beat, plot point after plot point. A lot of scenes are barely scenes in this movie. There are a lot of fourth wall breaks. There's a musical interlude in the middle. There are a lot of like montage-ish kind of sequences. The whole film is very muddy and blurry, and it comes off like a dream. So for a lot of people it may be hard, but I personally really like this kind of movie, so it kind of worked well for me. And again, it's not a horror film. For me, this is a slow psychological think piece about the trans experience. I think it is at this point when you have to realize that this movie is about the trans experience. And I'm not trans. I identify as a man, but one of my closest friends is a trans girl, and for a long time I've been trying to understand how she feels, particularly because I'm planning on writing a story where she's a character in the story and I want to know how she feels. But I think this movie, again, as a straight person, I'm not gonna be like an expert about this, but this movie just captures it so well for me. This film is about being trapped in a body you don't own, is about being trapped in a world you don't belong. And in I Saw the TV Glow, it's literal. It's like, oh my god, what if this body isn't mine? But being trans is probably kind of like that. Being a man despite feeling like a woman, or being a woman despite feeling like a man, and trapped in a world where nobody understands you and nobody sees you for who you really are. It changes everything. Not only your sexual or gender identity, but literally everything. The clothes you wear, the things you do, the things you say, the activities around you, the way people see you, your whole world is different. And to not be understood by the entire world must be a hell of a devastating feeling. And this film just captures it so well, especially with its aesthetics, the colored lights, the handwritten title cards. Jane Schoenbrunn really leans into these Gen Z aesthetics, but at the same time, it is very millennial. It's a story that initially begins in the 90s, so she takes millennial aesthetics and tap them into Gen Z sentiments. And it's very haunting. I also love the time jumps. Because the whole movie has this dream logic, it also keeps jumping forward in time 2 years later, 8 years later, 20 years later. I'm sorry for the minor spoilers. But because of these time jumps, whenever time moves on, it feels devastating. It's like, oh my god, what's going to happen next? What are of these characters? In a lot of ways, this reminds me of Wong Kar-wai's 2046, because again, in that film, it's also how time loses meaning. When you're so stuck in this world, and time just loses meaning and time just moves on and you're forever sort of stationary. It sort of has that feeling, and the ending is a real gut punch to the stomach. It's really cynical, and I wish it's not as cynical, because after all that build up, I really wish for Owen to have a good ending, to have a beautiful, blissful ending. But the ending we got was very haunting, and definitely lasts. Okay, so I want to add a couple more things about the movie. First of all, the music. It's really good. I really like the soundtrack. They're mostly mellow guitars and whatever, mellow keyboards, but they're all really they all fit with the aesthetics of the film really well. Apparently, the soundtrack is composed by Alex G. That's a fun fact. Another is the actual soundtrack itself, outside of the score. The songs. There's a lot of shoegaze and post rock. Again, very much that Gen Z sentimentality. Also, everyone from Yule to Phoebe Bridgers, who actually appeared in the middle of the film with the musical number, which I really like. A lot of people make this comparison. It's a tiring comparison, but it's a real comparison, and that is Twin Peaks: The Return, and even Twin Peaks. Whenever there's an episode in Twin Peaks: The Return, there is a musical number at the end of it or in the middle of it, for no reason but for feelings and vibes, and I really like that. There's a lot of criticisms towards the film about how, oh, this is like I'm 14 and this is deep, but truth be told, the world is a complicated and nuanced place. One person's suffering um, feels small in a world full of people who are suffering in a bajillion different ways. But this film is so personal. This film feels so personal. You can't help but be sucked into this world. And when the characters are suffering, you suffer too. So yeah, some people who are not immersed into this film will probably think, oh, this is like I'm 14 and this is deep. But that's kind of the point. We have to be in the character's world to realize how much torment that Owen was going through, especially near the end. So yeah, what a haunting ending. What a messed up ending. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. Wow. Also forgot to mention that Owen's dad is played by Fred Durst. Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit? What? What? And ultimately, my gripe with this film is that I wish it's longer. I think 100 minutes is not enough. It should have been 2 hours long. If it has more scenes, if it has more build-ups, if it has more trippy sequences, maybe it would have made the film even more enjoyable for me and for others. But still, this is one of the most creative, original, and just deeply haunting and visceral films I've seen all year, and quite possibly my favorite film of the year so far. I'm giving I Saw the TV Glow a light to decent 9 out of 10. So, have you watched I Saw the TV Glow? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.